My goodness. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Joe, for organizing all of this. Thanks to Decatur Library. Thank you, Jericho, for making, being such a wonderful host and making us all feel so welcome as we are reading our poetry today. I cut a few things down and I changed what I was going to read a little bit as I was thinking about things. I lost my mother in 2016 to colon cancer, and Burn is in very many ways a book about time, because after my mother died, I realized that time didn't make sense to me anymore. And that was because grief was really why I lost my compass. And so I learned through writing this book that time is a way that we can evolve and adapt and fall apart and learn to love again. And really, time is our best metric for resilience. So I'm going to read a few poems that demonstrate that, as well as our theme, which is about grief. I'm from Georgia. I was born in Savannah. I was raised in Athens. And I want to share a poem with you about the Savannah that I know. It was the Savannah before the Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. My mother was a social worker there, and it was very violent. There was a lot of violent crime. And you'll pick up from the poem what one of the crimes that I hold on to would be. Ghost story. Savannah, my mother would say, so beautiful General Sherman could not watch it burn. Perhaps this is why we stayed in the city of rain-torched oaks 2 years after my father died, Spanish moss draping the branches like pashmina over a dead girl's shoulders. Yamacraws called it Itla Ukla, threaded it into ropes or blankets to warm the haunches of horses. Barbara Espanol, French colonists marking the beards of Spanish conquistadors. But when she said it, my mother, I believed it. Savannah, so beautiful, so beautiful. Like that afternoon, 1984, on the baseball diamond, when I, 4 years old, clung to Lori, Daisy Dukes razored to graze her freckled thighs. She was Beth's daughter, 13, piercing her ears with ice and safety pins, and she watched me when our mothers left us to sip Dos Equis and smoke Virginia Slims, to dish about men or the latest of Lori's disasters. Lori, scaling the downspout from the bathroom window to meet boys in the backs of cars. Lori, slinking upstairs at twilight, her underwear in her purse. Her red hair, I remember how it curled against my face when I wrapped my arms around her. Some days I traced the dark circles under her eyes. Lori, she clings to me like Spanish moss, that wet, heavy hunger. 2 days after she went missing, they found her raped, throat slit, heart-shaped holes cut in the breasts of her Pink Floyd t-shirt. A car's slashed leather, the heat-ripped metal off a trash can off Tremont that held her. No one told me how she left the world. My mother had only said that Lori had gone away, was never coming back. Cops don't find killers, I'd learned too soon, in cases like this for girls who scuff the toes of their sneakers when they dance or ashes smoke, Saturday blooming before them like a heaven that could seize them up. Raped girl, ghost story. Even Sherman would not burn it down. I live in West Virginia now, and I watched Hurricane Helene destroy the Southeast and destroy the homes of many of the people that I love. And there was nothing I could do besides watch and hope and call and pray and do the things we do when awful things happen. My family's been through a lot of hurricanes. Hurricane Andrew destroyed my auntie's home back in 1992. My mother survived Hurricane David while I was inside of her in 1979. And Hurricane Laura was demoted to a tropical storm, and it was headed right for us when I was living in Nacogdoches, Texas, in Hurricane Alley. And we were okay. A lot of people aren't. A brief history of hurricanes. As Hurricane Laura raged toward the heel of Louisiana's Butte, we watched a coroner wheel our neighbor out of his front door on a gurney. With his body went the whole alphabet of the world. We stood there, husband, staring through blinds, embarrassed we didn't know his name. The stars, they're dead before their light ever reaches us. His living room dark, save for a single torchlier, its sprawl of glow bleeding out. I want to know why darkness can be interrupted by the idea of a star, as if time never existed. Time, it slips within me, my mother's blood, my father's blood, blood of a whole generation, that furious haunting. My aunt's double-wide clutched up by Hurricane Andrew, my mother planking windows to quash the electric hymn of water, skin, David shelling Savannah with my father's fury. You stayed up, husband, waiting for the strike, horror, water, an eye that spares us. But I'm lost in sleep's turbine, images of our neighbor spliced against my aunt's schnauzer, the one she left in a moment's flash, hurling his scrawny body at their trailer's door. I wonder if she's haunted by his bark twisting through metal as her children sprint for the car. No room for him among heaps of clothes, wolf chili cans, wedding photos, piles of what she could carry. In my dream, my neighbor has risen above the rage of any water. I am keeping an eye on the time. Burn is a book about time. It's about survival, and I had a skin cancer scare in 2021, which when you come from a family riddled by cancer, and when your mother dies from cancer, suddenly there's a lot of confluence going on there. So I want to read you a poem about that. It is a reversal written after the beautiful Ansel Elkins, who is a wonderful Appalachian poet, who I now get to live around because I'm living in Appalachia. A brief history of skin. Return it, the moles constellating my right shoulder, deep brown poultice. My husband once kissed his way into its world. Bless it, biopsy knife swiping through my flesh, my faith. Unname it, Nevus spilus, little Andromeda galaxy stretching my skin, its infinite halo of dark matter. Unwhisper the word melanoma, those sleepless weeks I swore it glimmered, debris from an exploded star. Unclench my hand from its jigger of vodka, uncurl my husband's touch from my shoulder, unwhisper the words cancer, mother. Unburden my skin from the blazing Utah May where one spring the sun ravaged me. Untangle me from recklessness, untruss the tumors from my mother's blood, return her record player's needle shirring through scarred vinyl, Mick Jagger throating blues through her house on Victory Drive. Rebridle her hair to its messy knot, unveil the dime-sized mole on the back of her neck. Give them back, my father's words for it. Forget me not of the angels, plush field of stars. Give her body back when she still loved my father, when I still moved within her. But if you can give me nothing, God, return her name for me. Little one, infinite, meadow of heaven. I am going to read one more for you. And this is the last poem of the book. And it is the title poem of the book as well, I should say. And it celebrates how our bodies carry us through the world, especially when we become a little bit more middle-aged than not. And especially if we are in a woman's body, and sometimes that woman's body is becoming erased by a culture that does not value anything besides being young. Burn. If middle age has a shape, it would be the body singing word by luscious word, my body's glory caught in my lungs. If I could, I would uncry myself, send my body back to my mother's womb where my father once signed his name in blood. I hung their seam of cells fixed to my holy order love's microscopic blaze, so much like breathing. My heart still twined to my mother's, her body. It held me like she hadn't given up. I longed to be pulled from my mother some August long ago and lie on her chest, naked, cord uncut, hair matted to my skull. I want to fill again the hole in my mother death will not take as its house. Teach me, body, to unscar what is scarred, to cherish the uncharitable, my breasts, whipped philosophers, my eyes, a murder of crows. My thighs are engines, leave traces of fire as I rise up. Watch me rise up. Thank you.